Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Mystery. Welcome to my second video. I'm going to run through a technique I love using called wax resist. And you're going to create some little houses inspired by this European guy, Hundertwasser, who's got the best name ever. I'm going to run through the whole process. There's two different types of houses that you can create. The wax resist one, like this. But if you don't have paints, you can do one in felt tip pen either, or coloured pencils. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But I want to show this particular technique because I think it's quite an interesting technique to use. So we're going to have a quick look at Hundertwasser's work and why we're going to be inspired by him, why we're learning about his work today, and then we'll crack on with the activity. Don't forget to tag me in your makes with Mrs. Mystery Makes. Send them to me on either my Instagram or my Facebook page. Happy making, guys. Hundertwasser was born in Austria in a city called Vienna. He was predominantly a painter, and he had a very recognisable style of painting. He used lots of line in his paintings, and you will be able to see this throughout his work. He used loads of windows as well in all of the buildings. Eyes and faces would feature quite heavily in his work as well. He had quite an interesting colour palette in the sense that the majority of the colours that he used were primary colours, so you get your yellows, your blues and your reds, which feature quite heavily. His work is described as abstract because even though you can see buildings and landscapes in his pieces, they're not all realistic. They're left to the imagination. This particular landscape has got the grass and the ground, which is green, and the sky and the clouds there, which are blue, and then this middle section of streets, and I really like this face that's in the middle because it makes me feel like, there's always people around, there's always somebody watching on looking after you, and there's this kind of like a sun element to this piece of work, and he's almost included the sun in the ground rather than in the sky, and I quite like that. He uses lines to create different types of shapes as well. So again, here you've got this landscape that moves up into the mountains almost, because you can see the perspective going up. But the shape of the sun is made by using lots of different orange lines within the yellow shape. And that's something that I'd quite like to focus on today, is using lines to create colours and patterns in a more interesting and more intricate way. As well as doing his paintings, Hundertwasser was quite famous for his buildings, and so he would create buildings that very much look like his paintings. So there's this building in Vienna, which was quite plain and boring, and then once he started to design and architect his own style on top of it, and really kind of work with the windows and make it into almost make them into like his paintings, I think they become quite interesting. The windows were really important to Hundertwasser, and he believed that everybody should have their window right, and that you should be able to paint outside of your window to make it look interesting and exciting, to make it vibrant. He thought that people were living in quite dull and grey concrete houses, and the brightness that he wanted to get people to be involved in from his work was something that really kind of sung out to me. So using the windows, using his use of pattern and line and colour, we're going to create our own set of buildings today. So let's get started. So let's go through what you're going to need. A couple of sheets of A5 thin white card, something that will hold paint really well. If you've got an A4 sheet, you just need to cut it in half. A selection of wax crayons, brightest colours work best, a pencil and a rubber, some watercolour paints. You're going to be using black, so a black watercolour paint is what you need, a pot of water and a brush, a pair of scissors, a glue stick, a bit of newspaper, some cereal box card, Again, you need to come up with a design for a building. And this could be an imaginative building. You can base it on something, you can maybe base it on your house, it's entirely up to you. But I always start with a very basic rectangle. And I might have a little extension on the side here. Mine's going to have a little bit of a tower, using one of those kind of garlic bulb shapes that Hundertwasser uses in his paintings. Now, he was very big on windows, was Hundertwasser, so I want you to make a main point, a main focal point for your windows. Now, this whole drawing is a line drawing. Okay, there's no shading involved, even when you come to do the colouring part. So you need to make sure that your lines are light with your pencil and not press down too hard, because you're going to rub out most of them. You're going to think about shapes within shapes, and they don't need to be too perfect. And you could vary them up a little bit, smaller shapes inside big shapes, lines. Hundertwasser used a lot of eyes in his paintings as well. Unusual doors. So once you're done, you're ready to start adding the wax crayon. And what you're going to do is you're going to work in small sections, and you're going to rub out areas and go over them with the wax crayon. I'll show you first. So it might seem a little bit silly spending all that time doing a drawing just to rub it out, but you need to rub it out, because otherwise you'll see the wax crayon underneath it. So for example, if I show you here with this little lollipop tree, you can still see the pencil line underneath it, whereas this area here, where I've rubbed out the garlic bulb shape, I can very faintly see it, but I can remember what that shape is like because I've only just rubbed it out. Don't press too hard where you break your wax crayon. You need to be really careful with them. Now you'll notice that I'm going over the lines a couple of times to make sure that I've pressed down hard enough. You might want to change your colour in between as well. And you're just going to keep working on your whole drawing, section by section. And remember, we're just doing lines, okay? We're not colouring in whole sections, we're just going over the lines that we've drawn with our pencil. Once you've done your wax crayon around it, you are ready to start painting it. So you're going to need your watercolour paints. and you're going to use black, and you might want to just put a little bit of newspaper behind so you can paint all the way up to the edges. Now load your brush up with enough black paint, not too much so it's too thick, and going across or vertically, so horizontally or vertically, either way it doesn't matter, just choose a way and stick to that way so it's nice and neat, and watch the magic happen. The principle works on the fact that the wax crayon doesn't mix very well with the water, and so where the wax is, the water resists it. And what happens is you're left with a nice painting with the colour coming through. And you can see at the bottom here where I might have put too much paint on, or I've not pressed down hard enough with my wax crayon, that the paint has gone over it. Okay, so you just need to be mindful of that. And you're going to let that dry so it's ready to be cut out later on. So if you don't have any paints and you decide to use felt tip pens instead, continue the steps to get to the drawing point, and then you're still going to need a rubber because you're going to use the same principle. So you're going to work on it section by section by rubbing out a little part and going over it with your felt tip pens. Now you can keep your lines quite thick. Remember, this is still a line drawing and we're not colouring in too much, but we want thick areas and thin areas. And instead of going over it with paint, you're just going to go around it with a black felt tip pen. And we're going to do that last because some black felt tip pens aren't waterproof or permanent, and so sometimes the colours might smudge. Once you get to this stage, you need to then get a black marker pen and just go around all of the lines that you've created to make them stand out a little bit more. At this stage you feel like you need to add any more colour to it or any more patterns in the background, you can do. I'm just going to add some more lines in the background, and I'm going to leave a white gap in between. There, it's ready to start cutting out now and creating a stand for. So now you're ready to start cutting them out. You're going to leave a little bit of a border around the edge of your building. once you've cut them both out, you just need to get some cereal box cards so we can make some stands for them. So you just need a little bit of cereal box card, a pencil and a ruler. My stands were 10 centimetres by 5 centimetres, and it was only purely because I used the edge strip of this cardboard here. So I'm just going to measure up from the end there, 10 centimetres. And again, because I need 2. And then you're going to need to make a little tab. My tabs are 2 centimetres from the long edge, and I'm going to make a little marker at the top and at the bottom. I'm going to draw that line in. Just lining up my markers so I know that they're both even. And the same for this one. 2 centimetres from the top of the long edge and from the bottom of the long edge, so you can then mark them up. So now you need to score the lines, and we're going to do that with just a biro because it works really well. Pop your ruler down, lining up on that edge, and then with the biro, just press down quite hard so you can hear the cardboard creasing. And what will happen is, because you've creased that top layer, it will bend quite nicely. And you'll hear it just crack slightly. Press it through with your fingers. Same with this one. And then take your glue stick. Glue the tab. Onto your building. And when they're dry, they'll be ready to stand up. Well done, guys. I hope you liked that technique. I hope you can see the potential of that particular technique and use it in lots of different contexts. The wax resist technique is really versatile, so you can use it for lots and lots of different things. So hopefully by the end of this video you will have had made a couple of houses, or like me, you might have ended up creating a whole city, which is absolutely fine, and taking over your dining table. So just get creative. Remember to tag me in your makes and send them to me so I can feature them on my Instagram page. That would be great. Again, at the end of this video there's some learning tools, so be sure to check them out if they're of any use. Bye guys.